All right.
Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Lessons Learned. My name is Vincent Bessa. I am an author. I'm the founder of Hidden Treasure Novels, HTN. I'm the regional representative for the North Carolina Writers Network Metro North region. And it is my honor today to be able to introduce to you our guest speaker, author M.J.Simms-Maddox. And MJ is going to share with you several lessons that she has learned as an author. MJ, I thank you so much for being a part of the call today, and I turn the stage over to you.
Okay, Vincent, and thank you. I hope I'm coming through clear and you can understand me.
Yes.
One of the first, pardon?
No, you're coming across loud and clear.
Good, good. One of the first lessons I learned when I started writing is that writing is a private affair. You know, one might ask, what does that mean? Not only do you need your own private space to write and think and rewrite and rethink, but you need to be careful with whom you share your writing. It is a private affair because writing is between you and your editor. One example of a hard lesson that I learned was I shared a draft of my first novel with my husband. And he read it and expressed concern. He says, MJ, people might think this story is about you, that it's true. Well, frankly, quite a few of the stories in the novel were based on truth. However, it was written as a work of fiction. And had I allowed my husband's first reaction to the story to influence me, I might not have gone on with the book. The good news is a couple of weeks after he expressed his concern, he came back to me rather humbly and said, you know what, I thought about it. This is something you've been working on for a while. This is something you believe in. This is something you think someone else can appreciate. Um, and I understand, you know, what's going on here. So just go with it, go for it. And after that, believe it or not, he became my biggest fan. The other side to my urging you to keep your writing to yourself, oftentimes family and people we consider to be our best friends don't see the world the way we see it, nor are they as supportive of your writing as you would hope that they are. I call that being dissuasive. Um, Many people have started a new venture, something they truly believed in, and because family members or people they thought were their best friends discouraged them. So they put that first draft of a very good book on the shelf or they burned it. Um, Writing is a private affair. Try to hold fast to that. Keep all your ideas, all your written material to yourself. The only other point that I will make about this particular rule that I tend to follow is once you share your writing with someone else, they can they can take your ideas, okay? They can take your ideas. People do that. I know we don't like to think bad of people we know, but many people tell the story about how something they wrote was taken by someone else. So the last thing I'll say with regard to that particular example is this. copyright even your rough drafts, even your poorly written drafts. Remember people like, what was it, Thomas Edison, and a couple of other inventors from times back. They copyrighted and trademarked all of their inventions, the hundreds and hundreds that failed. They copyrighted and they trademarked it. That way, by the time they did succeed in, for example, creating the electric light, there was no question that it was theirs. I think I'm going to stop there, Vincent, in case you have any questions or comments about what I've just said. But the main point was writing is a private affair.
Well, thank you, MJ. And I agree with you on that. And I had, of course, the slide on representing your very first book, Priscilla. I advanced the slide to lesson 2, which is critiquing and editing are two different kinds of beeswax. I thought you might be able to share a little bit exactly why,
Okay.
what that means.
Okay. Again, a lesson hard learned. Believe it or not, I had what I thought was an editor for about 1 decade, 10 years. Each year, I would send a copy of my manuscript to him based on what I thought his criticism was. New at writing novels or writing in this regard, any material, I did not know that there was something called a critique and there's something called editing. This editor was providing me with critiques. He was not editing my work. And in fact, every time I would write him back and say, well, what did you think about this? Or how should I improve this? He never edited my work. It took me a whole decade to come to terms with the difference in the two words. Okay. You want an editor, someone who will mark up your work, explain to you why he or she marked up your work, and help you improve your writing. You don't want a 25-page critique with no instruction on how to actually correct whatever the problem was. So again, that particular lesson is something I learned the hard way. So make sure if you retain the services of a professional editor, they are in fact going to do copy editing, proofreading, the whole bit, not merely critiquing your work.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I think of critiquing also as a function of a beta reader. We have a number of authors in our group, as you know, MJ, who have agreed to beta read each other's works. But I think critiquing goes perhaps even a stage beyond that, but certainly not to the level of editing that you're referring to in your former life.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to the third slide, and on each slide I've had a different copy of one of your books. This one is referring to Three Metal Pellets, the third in your trilogy, which I enjoy thoroughly, by the way. But it brings us to the third lesson where you say that online marketing must be matched by in-person promotions. And I wonder how you're dealing with that now with COVID and all the restrictions.
Okay. Very delicately. I say that because I don't think, for example, that the pandemic is going to last forever. But for me, book fairs, all kinds of book events, readings and signings in bookstores, presenting at professional conferences have all been very good in terms of meeting people who read my books and selling books. Whenever I do a display, for example, I'm at a book fair and people come to my booth, they pick up the books, they look at the back cover to read what the book's about, And Vincent, they hand me their credit card. That's what I mean by in person. If you can get your work in front of prospective readers and buyers, for me at least, that is almost instant sales. With the before the coronavirus and during this particular time, I have, however, had to learn more about online marketing than ever before.
Interesting, MJ.
I'm not quite. Yes.
Before this pandemic hit, I understand that you had actually done book signings and presentations all around the world. I think you said you had been in South Africa at one time.
Yes, I was encouraged by colleagues to go to the South Africa Book Fair, and I did that, I think it was in 2018. And that was after I published the second book, Mystery in Harare. They thought that the setting in Zimbabwe and South Africa was most apropos for me to show up in person, introduce myself to readers and buyers there so they could see the person who actually penned that particular novel. Wow. And that was one of the best moves I could have made, okay? Because of course I made new contacts, sold books. Let's just say that really enriched my life as a writer. And most of the people I met were surprised that someone from another country, especially America, would write a book with their landscape, if you will, as the setting.
Did you get some of MJ? Did you get some of those ideas in South Africa when you wrote the fourth book, the Special Envoy?
Okay, now what Special Envoy, that's different. Something told me that I needed to venture out more. The books I have written up to this point cover a lot about Europe and Africa. And watching the news, there has been a lot going on about the Arab-Israeli people. Arab and the Arab Islamic people and their relationship with Israelis. And with the whole piece about terrorism that's been highlighted so very much these past, few decades, something just, evolved inside of me. And I said, let me address that and make that a key part of a plot in my next book. And I just started doing a lot of research. Not much on terrorism, but on the different policies that the American government has with the Arab world and with the Israelis. And I decided to put Priscilla in as a special envoy. So she would be the person through whose eyes we would learn everything that we do about the situation over in the Middle East.
We need to get a copy of that to the administration as they're going forth with their adventure over there. Well, MJ, I'm watching the clock. I'm respectful of your time and our viewers' time. I have this fourth slide up here, which represents all four of your works, and I wonder if you could just give us a very brief rundown on how they came to be, why you picked those particular titles, and is there going to be another book in your future, if you wouldn't mind sharing that.
Okay, briefly, the first book, Priscilla, Engaging in the Game of Politics, is the character's name is from that of one of my best friends when I was growing up in junior high and high school in Jamestown, New York. And the story, that story came about from a recurring dream that I had of a conversation I had with my father many years ago. And essentially what he asked of me was to start living my life to please myself instead of him and my mom. And that dream bothered me, and it bothered me. So I shared it with a girlfriend, and she said, MJ, the next time you have that dream, write it down. And that's how the Priscilla series began. In the second book, Mystery in Harare, that grew out of a series of travel pieces that I wrote, and they were falling flat. And so what I did was, that was my first book on terrorism. And I had Priscilla abducted from her comfort level here in America to Southern Africa. And I had her abducted there right at the start of the post-apartheid regime in Zimbabwe and South Africa. The third one, Three Metal Pellets, is actually about Priscilla and a presidential hopeful. Again, some friends were encouraging me to write a book because they were impressed with the newly elected first Black president. And I mean, come on, how many more books do we need to write about Barack Obama? So I created my own. I created my own family that had it's similar to like the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, and I had my first Black presidential hopeful coming from that type background. But terrorism shows its ugly head again in that particular book, and we go from there. The fourth book, Special Envoy, I just told you, I wanted to lend my voice to the conversation about the Arab-Israeli conflict, and hopefully leave a positive impression of possible resolution down the road.
MJ, I know that you're a professor at a local college. Do you use parts of these books or any of these books in your sessions and classes with your undergraduates?
2 points there. One, I recently retired in
Oh.
July this past year. But interestingly, the last couple of years, I did use the first 3 books in some of my classes. And I'm trying to keep this as positive as possible. The students were like, you want us to read these thick books? These books are real thick, lots of pages. But when I would assign them excerpts from different the books, especially, for example, the first one, Priscilla, and they could see how I had incorporated my life as a college student at Livingstone College, they were impressed. And with the third one that talks about Priscilla and the presidential candidate, it was useful in helping me to teach them how a presidential election campaign actually works from the beginning up to Inauguration Day. So yes, I've used them in the classroom. And
wow. Well, I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But I am so hopeful that people will come to your website, novelsbymj.com, to purchase your books. We do feature the books at hiddentreasurenovels.com on our recommended page. Special Envoy is not yet there because I have not yet read the book. I've read the first 3, and we don't put anything on our recommended page unless I personally read it and some other folks have gone through that cycle, so that we can share with our readers that, yes, indeed, this is a book that we highly recommend. This is a book that we've enjoyed, and readers out there and viewers out there, we think that you too will enjoy it. I do have a copy of Special Envoy. I did receive that, and I'm looking forward to reading that and getting that on our recommended page very shortly. So MJ, I just thought any further comments you have for the viewers out there, for potential writers, for emerging writers, any words of wisdom you want to share before we bid them adieu?
Just a couple of things. One, I am completing a writing guide as we speak for new and emerging authors. And essentially in that writing guide, I'm trying to encourage people who yet to put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard to do so. The book is loaded with examples to encourage wannabe writers to start writing. And to answer an earlier question that you had, yes, a fifth novel is in the works, and I plan to release it shortly after the writing guide is out there. And the fifth novel, Vincent, is not going to have a lot of terrorism in it.
Well, I am so looking forward to seeing that writing guide. I hope that's something that we'll be able to share with the North Carolina Writers Network, with our regional group, and then on beyond that to the state association, and with all the viewers who are watching this and will watch this asynchronously down the road. And perhaps we can also feature that book, if it's available, on the Hidden Treasure Novels site. So I thank you for that, and I do look forward to that next novel, and encourage you to please get that out there. You have a beautiful writing style, and you bring this history to life for all of us. So thank you so much, MJ. Thank you, Dr. Simms-Maddox, and all of you who joined us today. Thank you for being a part of the call, and for those of you who see this down the road asynchronously, if you need to reach out to us, please feel free to contact me at hiddentreasurenovels.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Look forward to hearing your story. If you're an author and would like to be a part of this interview process and would like to share your lessons learned, again, reach out to us at hiddentreasurenovels.com. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day, a blessed weekend, and a Merry Christmas. Thank you, MJ. Thank you all.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you.